Hello and welcome to Stay Paid, the sales and marketing podcast from ReminderMedia, where we bring you actionable advice to help you grow your business so you can live a life of freedom tomorrow, but only if you take action today. My name is Joshua Stike, and as always, I am joined by Luke Acree.
What is up, everybody?
What is up with you, Luke? How's it going?
I am beat down today, man.
Beat down?
I am beat down. I'm not going to lie.
What happened?
You ever have those days where it's like you feel, or you have these issues, maybe a real estate agent can really, feel camaraderie with this, where it's like you have all these issues that you're solving when you're trying to get through the close of the home, and it's like you're in that negotiation period where it's like, okay, They did the initial offer, we accepted it, now they're doing the due diligence, and you go and you come back and you go, okay, they wanted this, this, and this. And you fix those three things, and you're like, you're right there. And then all of a sudden, a crazy thing pops out of nowhere. And you just go, I was joking with somebody today, I'm not gonna mention who.
Makes you question your own reality.
I said, is it a full moon? Is that what it is? Yeah. Is there a full moon about to happen? Is that why all these crazy things are happening right now? That it's just like, how did this happen? You just wonder how. I can't give details, but if you find yourself there, where you are at the point of getting a deal across the finish line and another crazy thing happens, take my advice from last podcast, laugh at yourself, or breathe a little bit, or throw a water bottle at the camera or something.
Get it out and get back to work.
Get back to work. I need a punching bag in my office. Yeah. It's probably not HR appropriate.
Speaking of today, I don't know how to segue. I was going to say speaking of punching bags.
Speaking of punching something.
But anyway, today we are going to be talking about the backbone of any service-based sales professional's value proposition, and that is your local presence.
Yes, your local
We've got elections on the brain. More than likely, if you're listening to this podcast, your customers are your neighbors or soon-to-be neighbors if they're moving into the area. And in order to build trust and attract people to choosing you, you have to position yourself as a local expert and become well known in your community. As the internet and social media sites have allowed business professionals and consumers to connect across the globe, there may be no better time in history to set yourself apart by showcasing your ability to connect and be knowledgeable at a hyper-local level.
Well, I think this gets into the whole thing with marketing today about relevancy. We were talking about this on a call we did today, where the issue with marketing is most marketing is not relevant. That's why you ignore it. Average human being sees 5,000 messages a day. From a marketing perspective, we've all heard these stats before because we've shared them on the podcast. I think this idea of becoming your local expert attacks from one angle. It's not everything, right? So just being a local expert is not going to make your business blow up. You need a multitude of strategies.
Yes.
But this one strategy of becoming the local community expert, the person the resource that people go to, that is a way of attacking this problem with marketing, because your chances of being relevant to your sphere, your chances of being relevant to your prospect base when you actually talk about something that's local is so much higher than if you send them just a generic piece of content, or you send them something, that doesn't necessarily have to do with their community. Like, put it this way, here's a good example.
Yeah.
If I send you the average home sale price, right, in the United States, you could care less.
Yep.
If I send you the average home sale price in your neighborhood, you care.
Yep.
Why? The only difference there is relevancy.
Yeah.
It's just the relevancy of the content, and that's why becoming a local expert is so important.
Yeah, it's a weird topic to kind of spend a lot of time on, because whenever we were thinking through this and I was kind of going through the notes ahead of time, I'm thinking, well, of course, you have to be a local expert, especially if you're in the industry of real estate, but really any service-based sales professional that's serving a community. You have to be in tune with your industry, but I think it is more and more relevant and important to understand that the value there, like, it's so much easier to get lost on our phones today and just kind of get on Facebook and be absorbed in everything else that's going on and forget that you have to make it a priority and make it part of your strategy to get involved in the community. I don't know about you. I feel like the community is becoming less and less because everything's online.
It's becoming global. The community, we're becoming way more connected. We see this even, you mentioned politics, but you see this in politics, but you see this across the board in business. It is now becoming a global economy, for lack of a better word. So it's the same for your sphere of influence. You're starting to have a global sphere of influence.
Yeah, so thinking through this, we kind of wanted to try and break it down. Obviously, you guys should know the value of being a local expert, but what are some things specifically that you can do to help showcase that and really leverage that for your marketing. I think, as we know and we've talked about on the podcast a number of times, you have to be number one or number two
Correct.
on your potential prospects' mind. So these would be community members. In order to even have a chance of being used, you have to be one or two when being thought of. So a couple things that we thought we could dive down deeper into a little bit, and this was one of the suggestions we've actually gotten from some of our listeners, was really talking more about testimonials. So testimonials is a great way to show off your local expertise and connect with your community, because these are people that are living in their community. They have the same shared experiences and potentially shared values, shared pain points that other people within your community could do. And I think one of the first things that we would recommend when getting testimonials would be to really focus on your online reviews.
Yes.
And in order to do this, you need to have all of your things set up. You have to have your Google business page set up so that you can Google places, so that you can have people review you on Google. That's going to help your search engine results. You know, when people are searching for you, they'll actually find testimonials and ratings right there on the search engine, but also your Facebook business page so that people can review and recommend you on there as well.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. We're talking about becoming a local expert, right? Which is really, when you sum it up from a marketing standpoint, you're really building out your brand. And when you really think about it, it's like, who do you want to be known as? What do you want to be known as? Do you want to be known as a real estate agent? Do you want to be known as a community resource? Do you want to be known as a community advocate? Your online reviews are part of that story that's being told about you. They're one of the ways that your brand gets told, the story of your brand gets told. And so from a perspective of online reviews, I think in today's world, and I shouldn't really say this because it probably always mattered, but I think online reviews matter so much more today than they have in the past, because we are flooded now with information. And so what is the trust signal that you can get from the product you're trying to purchase, the person you're trying to use? How can you sort and sift through the BS, for lack of a better word? And one of the ways I do it immediately is through online reviews.
Yeah.
And then if you notice, I noticed this the other day when I was on a site. I was actually on a printer site that was printing T-shirts. So a buddy of mine has a company that prints T-shirts, and I saw his reviews said verified review. Okay. So it's already even gotten to the point with online reviews that online reviews now can be verified. So under it says verified review. But a couple tips I would give you when collecting your own online reviews is, one is you got to make it super easy.
Yes.
I think the problem with online reviews is twofold. One, you don't ask. And then you don't ask consistently. So it's just like everything in life. If you ask one time and you don't receive, ask again and ask again. People need reminders. So that's simplistic. You got to take action. You got to ask, and you got to ask consistently. But you got to make it easy for people. What does that look like? Well, what that looks like is basically spell out for them what you want them to do. You could make it as simple as putting the questions. Josh, how would you rate my customer service?
That's a great idea.
Like literally just have them answer the questions.
Yep.
And then you can take that and ask them and say, hey, can I put this in a customer review of how you rated me? And it makes it just so much easier, because I'm willing to give reviews for people, but what I'm not willing to do is sit down at a blank piece of paper.
Find them. Well, first find where to do it.
Them.
Right.
Yeah, and
so give them a link directly to your Facebook page or your Google review, whatever that link would be to process that. And then the next thing is get the writing prompts going.
Make it
Give them the questions that they can simply answer, as opposed to having to start from scratch.
And ask for reviews after you've done something nice for somebody. So it's the reciprocity effect.
Yep.
Don't ask, not that you shouldn't, but don't ask for reviews just randomly. Ask for reviews right after the closing. Ask for reviews right there. Meaning, like I always give the tip, my brother does it all the time, and it's awesome for him, because he gets at the closing table, he snaps a picture of him, he snaps a picture of him with the clients, him with the mortgage person, and guess what he does? He posts it, he tags everybody in it, their family members see it, they start commenting. It's just like this social engagement that happens. But what's triggered right there is he's never posted a closing photo with frowning people, meaning they're happy at that point. There's reciprocity that's taking place at that point. It's so simple to just
A great
ask.
idea there that I just thought of would be to put your instructions for leaving a review in your closing gift.
Oh yeah, that's actually really good.
And that way, whenever they get home, they're pulling out everything. You know, it's right there. As long as it's easy to get to.
Gave me $250 in a gift card.
Wow.
I think as a closing gift, gave me $250 in a gift card. If he would have put
instructions,
if he would have put, I mean, I gave him a review because of just the work I'm in. But the point is, if he would have put that, it would have been so much more even likely, if I wasn't the person I am, to give him a review, because we made it simple.
And then when you get these online reviews, make sure you're using those in your marketing. Not everyone will necessarily go and seek out the reviews like we're talking about here. So make sure you're pulling out the best comments or the best reviews you have. And when you're promoting yourself in your Facebook ads or you're showcasing posts in your organic social media posts, if you're doing Instagram stories, call out some of those things that people have said that you really see as a value that you provide. Make sure that you're bragging. Brag about your reviews.
Well, there's a review people don't think about. Every time you say review, you probably think of your clients that you're servicing.
Yeah.
But also, and there's going to be a consistent theme that I'll talk about through this local expert, but your partners.
Yeah.
Because there's trusted people in the community that you work with that are also trying to build local expertise or being known as a local expert in your community. Insurance agent, mortgage broker, financial advisor. All you guys are so interconnected. Real estate agent, you're also interconnected. What if you had reviews from other professionals that were trusted in the community, pastors in the community? I know that sounds crazy, but my dad's a pastor. If my dad in Fluvanna County recommends somebody, well, he's been a pastor in Fluvanna County for 29 years.
Yeah.
So people listen, his sphere, so look for influencers in the community and service them and have them write a review on you, because not only are you getting the review that's obviously going to trigger, people want to buy from you, the trust signals, all that stuff. It's going to allow you marketing material. But most importantly, when you're reviewed by other local community experts, it automatically raises you to that level. I.e., if my brand's right beside Nike, what do you think of my brand? Mm-hmm. You automatically, from the just association, think of me that way. So don't forget, influencers in the community. Try to get them to review you. Try to get them to talk about you.
Another great idea beyond reviews would be writing case studies on clients that you've helped with in the past. So this is a great idea for if you're having trouble writing, coming up with content or starting a blog or something like that. Tell the story of a client with permission, obviously, get permission from your clients, but really focus on the problem. So in a case study, you really want to start off by saying, Jane and Bill had this problem. This is the steps that we took to try and solve this problem. Here's the resolution of Jane and Bill's problem, and here's how I helped. So you really want to paint the picture.
That's actually really good. We should put that.
Of Jane and Bill?
No, but we should put that structure in the show notes. Like, that's a good downloadable. If we put that together, that way when you guys are listening to this, you can just download and literally the structure, structure that you just mentioned right there, it makes it so simple. I struggle I don't know if it's because I'm a sales type person, I struggle when I look at a blank page of paper. I just struggle to start. And so if there's an outline, so we should put that in an outline.
And then try and keep the focus of those case studies on the local knowledge that you used. So one of the examples that I was talking with Luke about earlier before the podcast was my wife and I, we wanted to stay within the same school district whenever we moved. And we even wanted to stay within the same elementary school. There was a situation at the time where one of the elementary schools was closing down, so we knew which elementary school we would be moving to and most of our kids' friends would be moving to.
Sure.
So we drove our realtor nuts, but she did everything she could. She could have easily, and we've had this experience with other realtors where they'll just send you everything. It's like they won't really filter down and show you what you're looking for. She got extremely specific and local and did not bother us with frustrating us by sending us houses that she knew we wouldn't consider because we would have to move schools or anything like that. So that's an example of the steps that you took to help solve a pain point or something that my wife and I were looking for. And if you write that story and you share it on your blog, you share it on your social media, you put that out there.
That's the key. Yes.
Sharing it.
The key is, what I was going to say is that she solved the problem for you. Now take that and share that story to everybody. Yeah. Take that and share that story to everybody, specifically, though, on the knowledge base that she brings to the table. Keep in mind, the purpose of this podcast, guys, is how do you brand yourself as the local local expert? You brand yourself as a local expert. Why? This example you're giving, you know the school districts. Right. You know the school districts, and I'm not going to just say on my website and brand me, I know the school districts. I'm actually going to tell a story of I helped Josh and Stacy find this home in this school district.
Well, a story is always more powerful than a statement. It will always be more powerful. Another way to tell a story is through video testimonials.
Yes.
So this is something we've talked about in the past. I think we even had an episode on how to do video.
There's a great idea here that I have worked with realtors to do. This, again, it involves around your partners. You have a perfect video to do with your partners. Pull up your camera when you're next to your insurance agent, your mortgage broker. Have them share what they do on video, and then vice versa. You do it for them. They'll share it with their audience. My brother Steven has done this. They'll share it with their audience. You share it with yours. It's unbelievable way to start cross-pollinating. And literally it's so simple because the reason you don't do video is because you don't have content. That's literally content for you right there. You have at least 5 business partners today if you don't recognize it. You have at least 5 business partners that your company's probably touching constantly for each of your clients. Every one of those should have a video, not only on your site, but on your Facebook feeds. And then think about it this way. They have local knowledge, right? They have their business knowledge. What if you guys got together? There's a realtor that I was talking to and coaching, Lindsay, and she did this coffee time. And she started doing this coffee time, basically podcast.
And went live with it, right?
Yeah, I think she went live with it. She was going live with it. But the idea was basically just other industry experts. She was talking about things that were going on in her community, same type of idea. The hardest part about doing video or doing any of this stuff is content, is coming up with the ideas. We struggle with it in our own business. Yeah. We struggle with it and going, hey, what type of content can we come up with that's going to be relevant, that's going to engage people? That's perfect because you're adding value through your vendors, but at the same time, you're being able to cross-pollinate databases, social networks, all that good stuff.
And it's so easy now to get the equipment that you need to do a high-quality video. You can, I looked it up before coming on the podcast, $30 tripod from Amazon that your phone sits in, and a $100 shotgun mic that plugs right into the audio jack or the dock connector on your iPhone.
You don't even really need the shotgun mic.
You don't even need that, but let's say you wanted to sit down.
My video people are looking at me going, you need the shotgun mic.
But let's say you wanted to sit down in a coffee shop or something like that, right after the closing, if you're sitting down in the office. Hey, do you mind if I grab you for a quick minute and just talk about our experience here? Sit down on a couch with them, sit down on the chairs with them, talk about that. Another way to do it would be to do a Skype interview. Call them up on Skype, do an interview over that.
Here's a great idea for a video. Just thought of this, came to me. Go to your local coffee shop and interview people what they love the most in the community. Just literally, they're in line for coffee. Maybe you buy people coffee. The person who gives you the best, I just hit Josh.
I will.
I'm just like
That's
punching him
I will do it for coffee.
The person who gives you the best answer, buy him a coffee. Like literally, like you can sit there, you can go, hey, I'm a realtor in the local community. You know, I love this place. I love, King of Prussia. Wanted to know what you like the best about King of Prussia.
Great idea.
It's a great idea. And then all of a sudden you're getting social engagement. Some people might think you're weird and awkward, but I will tell you this. If you wear a suit one time to work and no one else wears suits, you're the weird guy with suits. If you wear a suit every single day for 90 days at work, you're the guy just that wears suits and it's normal. Meaning when you get on video and you do it one time and it's awkward and you stop,
then you're the weird one.
You are the weird one.
Right.
But if you keep going, you're the weird, awkward guy on video and people love it. And the point being is what I'm saying is that this will feel awkward doing these things, but if you do them consistently, you will find success. Some of the times I watch people on Instagram, and no offense to the people I watch, but I'm like, holy crap, this is so awkward. I feel awkward right now watching this, and it's a story. But the more and more I just watch it, and I just kind of
fall in love with them.
You just kind of go, well, I kind of watch you for this awkwardness. It's kind of weird. But and the point being, and I don't judge them on necessarily their business expertise or something like that. That's the weirdest thing to me psychologically. I'm not understanding why that happens. It would be an interesting study psychologically, is that the weirdness that some people do or how awkward people are sometimes on video or through their Instagram, through their Facebook and stuff like that, doesn't translate to me lowering my judgment of how they would do business, which is a really good point to make.
It's endearing, and like you said, if it's consistent, then you start to understand it, and it's authentic. And that's, at the end of the day, this is why you want to do this, and how it ties back to local presence is people want to see real people. And so if you're talking to people, you're interviewing people in your local community about the experience they had with you, there's a chance other people that know them or know something else that they're involved with, or they are on the same soccer team as their kids are on the same soccer team or something like that. There's a chance much better chance you're going to make that connection within the local community, which is why we would recommend
It's all about finding like-minded people who have interest in the same thing you have interest in.
So the next thing that we would talk about would be tailoring your content. So this would be tailored content specifically by local content for locals. So if you're this is where you would get a little bit deeper, a little bit maybe even into more of the history or the pride in the area that you live, or local content for transplants. So this would be taking people who are looking to move into the area and giving them a better idea of what's available, what restaurants are out there, what shops are out there, what school districts are out there.
That's another great tip. Do on your Instagram story, do a question thing on your Instagram and post and say, what do you want to know about the community? Like what's the thing that intrigues you the most about King of Prussia?
Why is it called King of Prussia?
What events do you want to know? Yeah, seriously. Why is it called King of Prussia, Pennsylvania? But from a question standpoint, like I consider myself to be the local expert. Ask me any question about King of Prussia.
Yeah, that's great.
And see what questions you have, and then go. This is the Eric Fang podcast or whatever. Go back to watch his podcast because it's unbelievable. Like. Content, like find the answers to what people want to know. Like if you're the local expert and you don't have content, well, ask people, what do they want to know? What do they want to know about the community? Like I always want to know, like, where's the local farmers market? Yeah. Like I always want to know those type of things. Or like growing up, it was like, where was the basketball courts? Now, obviously, you might not care about that. But the point being is like, if you can ask your audience what they want to know, you have content now to produce, and at the end of the day, you'll end up becoming the expert, which will add value, and then that's what builds, obviously, the clientele.
Yeah, absolutely. So taking time, really, how do you make this content? Number one, you can create it. Number two, you can curate it. So you can find other people's content and post that. So if you are creating content, we would absolutely recommend that you schedule time each week to kind of look back and just share your week. So obviously we preach Instagram stories and we preach social media. So keeping people up to date with what you're doing in the now, that's really what all the social media sites are about. But if you're doing blog posts and you're looking at other ways to get your content out there, look at the restaurants that you went to. Look at the shows that you attended this week. Look at the various events that you would have participated in. Right now it's the fall. It's a big time for fall events to be happening and different community events. Write something about that. Write what your experience was. Write
I'd be
about
curious
the people
to know
that you
if
met.
anybody in our audience actually writes content.
Yeah.
Like has the time to write content. Because I think the pain point here is that unless you love writing, which some might, I would be really curious to know so comment, guys, on this Facebook Live or comment on our podcast. I would be really curious to know if you actually write.
Well, what did David DeSalle said it? He wakes up at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Yep.
Or it's 5 o'clock. You wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning too. I'm trying to get there. I'm at 6 right now, so I'm working slowly in 15-minute incrementals back to 4.
Good luck.
4 o'clock. But he says that he writes that in the morning and he just spends an hour before he hits the gym. He sits there and writes, and then he hits the gym, and then by the time he's at work, he's there before everyone else anyway. So it's really just kind of getting that time and prioritizing it in your schedule. Creating videos, like you mentioned, is a great way, and then really kind of sharing your backstory. If you're a native of the area, share your own stories and memories of the places, how things have changed. These are things that we think about. Just put them pen to paper or fingers to keyboards. And start
another
writing
great
about
tip that I forget. I'm not giving credit where credit's due, but this is a realtor that did it. He took a picture of places in his community, ran contest on Facebook, and said, whoever can guess where this is,
great.
I'll give you a $100 gift card.
I remember that.
I forget his name.
He actually ran it in our magazine.
I want to say it's Gordon.
Yeah, he ran it as ads
sorry,
in our
man.
magazine.
If you listen to this, I totally forgot. You can beat me up.
That's
on
a
social
fantastic
media.
idea. I forgot about that.
It's a great idea. Like you're the local expert. You take a picture of something in the community, and you go, guess where this is. First person to guess it gets a gift or something like that.
That's awesome.
You could send them our magazine.
Curating content, another way, like I said, going out and making sure that you're subscribing to your local news, that you're reposting stuff. One of the things that I thought was cool that just popped in my mind, the hometown where I grew up, Lancaster, Pennsylvania, was recently ranked #1 best place to retire in the country. Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
Was ranked #1? Oh my gosh.
It beat out Florida. I think there were 7 Florida cities or something. It was the first time like a city in Florida hadn't gotten #1. But that's just something, like I said, if you're following local news and don't be a consumer of the news.
Crazy.
Make sure that you're then sharing it, that you're connecting other people
or giving
to
your
that.
thoughts on it.
And add your own
like
commentary.
One of the things we do really poorly here at Reminder Media, and I don't know if it's because we're nervous of being too controversial, but we don't really give our own thoughts on a lot of times like stories in the news. And I'm not saying you have to be political or something like that. I'm not talking about that type of controversy, but I'm just talking about what you truly believe in. Because I think people really connect with that. And you might, Grant Cardone says it best, half the world might hate you, but half the world loves you, if that's the case. Meaning like that tends to how it always be. It's like, yeah, people might hate you. You really know you make it when you have haters.
Right.
So,
well, it's the problem with being lukewarm.
Yes, correct.
Right?
And people spit you out, man, at that point. People spit you out when you're lukewarm. Oh, man, I had another tip.
Pastor background coming.
Yeah, it is
there.
the pastor. You neither hot nor cold. If you're lukewarm, you get spit out. Here's another easy content creation for you for tailored content that's local. Reviews of the restaurants.
Yeah.
Because my wife and I like to go out, and we're constantly And we don't even consider ourselves foodies at all, because we're not. My taste buds would not allow me to be a foodie. And we are constantly looking for, like, where should we go and finding new spaces.
Follow Groupon. Like, promote Groupons that are happening on restaurants in your local area.
You're just hacking. You're just hacking someone else's work in a good way.
Adding value, and you can add your own commentary on what you thought of the restaurant. Yeah. And you could count all of those meals as a business expense. Because technically, you're posting it and using it for your business. Is that how tax works?
Maybe. I'm not giving tax advice on this podcast, that's for sure.
The other one, though, that we would say, and this is probably the most obvious, would be get out there. And Luke, you were talking about this a little bit when you were saying connecting with other businesses.
Yeah, like your partners.
But really, you were kind of hitting on it in terms of, like, know your community. Mm-hmm. Know the coffee shops, know the street names, learn the quickest routes to the airport from each neighborhood. Walk, drive around, make sure that you have a real intimate knowledge of your community, so that whenever people are asking you for a recommendation or asking you about an area, it's instant. You don't have to say, well, let me get back to you, which is okay. If you have to say that, don't make something up. Yeah. If you don't know, say, I don't know, I'll get back to you. But so that you're able to service those clients within the moment, because it could be the difference between them continuing to work with you,
correct,
or looking for someone else at that point.
Well, I think what's really, really critical here is that you touch on the halo effect, or giving back to your community. The halo effect is when you associate with good things, people automatically give that impression about you.
Yeah.
Meaning, like, and this shouldn't be the reason, I'll make this statement, it shouldn't be the reason why you get involved in a charity. It's just so you can look like a good person. That's terrible.
Yeah.
But there's nothing wrong with understanding that, hey, as a business, we want to be a business that not only, makes money and helps people solve problems, but creates impact in our community. And there are so many local charities. You had written down Phil Abundance for us, which is like a, obviously food bank here in the local area. But there's so many charities, but find something you're passionate about, because you really can capitalize on that in a couple different ways. One is you're giving back to your community, and that will result in obviously change lives, and that's the most important. Second is the halo effect.
Yep.
People will automatically, if you give back and you are associated with a charity, and that they're going to see you as someone who's not just about making money, not just about closing deals, but actually supporting people and doing good things. And then third, the people who run the charities are influencers. I talked about my dad being a pastor.
Yep.
They're influencers. They don't see themselves a lot of times as influencers. If I asked my dad, is he an influencer in Fluvanna County, Virginia, he would say no. But the reality is, he has hundreds of people that he is engaged with, involved with throughout the community. He's an influencer in the community, and people respect their opinion. Mm-hmm. And so when you can network at that level with people who are influencers, good things happen, because your network is your net worth, and your sphere. What are you? Basically, you're the sum of the 6 people that you're closest with.
Yeah.
But the point being is that if you network with these people and get involved with these people and help these people. Yeah. Help these people, they're going to turn around and help you.
Yeah, and that should be the first reaction to anyone that you're looking to connect with, is how can I bring value to you?
I had to say that because I know you would just do it for the sheer just marketing standpoint. Not me. I'm actually a good person, but Josh over here, he just take advantage of people. He doesn't know what to say to that.
If you're connecting with businesses, Andrew's laughing at me. I don't know.
That's not true, ladies and gentlemen. He's more giving than me. I'm the more salesperson.
When you're connecting with area businesses, or you're walking in, don't walk in and say, hey, can you help me with this? Walk in and say, how can I help you? How can I help your business? Yes. How can I bring value to you?
Simple.
It's what we had a podcast with Ed Stulak last week. I think that's coming out this Friday I guess now we're in the past. I get confused with our lives versus our podcast.
Too much content.
Last Friday, if you're listening on the podcast on iTunes, he has a great message with how he approaches that mentality of how can I help you first and foremost. Another thing that is coming up, it's super timely today as we are recording this live, with Halloween being tomorrow, making sure that you're using the holidays to expand your reach. So we have some awesome printables.
Oh yeah, this is great.
A quick plug for American Lifestyle, mag.com. And
put this for sure in the show notes.
Andrea. Are they on American Lifestyle or Reminder Media? The printables. ReminderMedia.com.
We'll put it in the show
/printables. Yeah. But there's candy tags, cards that you can print out that you can attach a piece of candy to. It has a cute little marketing message to it. But then what they did, if you're part of our client Facebook group, so you have to join our client Facebook group if you want this.
Ooh.
But then what they did was they made printables for little wine bottles. So while the parents are walking the kids around for Halloween, you pass one of those to the parents, and it says like,
we do love wine.
One of them's like, here's your booze.
Here for the booze.
Here for the booze, right?
Oh,
so what did
awesome.
the ghost bring to the Halloween party?
I don't know.
Booze. Yeah.
Oh. Ooh. Drop the mic.
And then you print your business card on the back. And again, so this is just a way to be present in your community, right? You're there, you're letting people know, you're providing them value because you're giving them some booze, but then you're also letting them know.
Oh my gosh.
You're also letting them know that you're there for their for any other needs that they might have with your services.
Did we talk about, I don't think we mentioned, but I think it's critical, like sponsoring local sports teams or youth groups or stuff like that. I think I mentioned charities, but
this
you can also
This is just connecting with values, right? This is just finding people.
What are you passionate
You
about?
want to work with people that have the same values and the same like-mindedness that you have, obviously. So if you're out there and you're passionate about youth programs, then go out and sponsor, figure out how you can get involved with youth programs. That's really all it's about. I would not do anything disgenuinely. I would not stick your logo on the back of a softball shirt just because you want to market your
it won't do
business.
anything for you.
Right.
What sponsoring a youth group will do for you or sponsoring a youth baseball team is only if you're involved more than that sponsorship. That it will only if you do it, and that could be a couple different ways. You could do it constantly. You're always the guy that sponsors it, and so you're showing that it's just not about a one-time marketing thing, or you're actually there. Like you support the team. Maybe you have a kid on the team. That's always a great one. If you have a kid on the team, that's always a great one.
And then, of course, we're going to say it at the end, but track your efforts.
Yep. If you don't track, you basically are just going to die.
If you're out there blogging, make sure
you could quote that. If you don't track your stuff, you're going to die.
Track or die. Hashtag that. I think we got that.
Yeah.
That'll be the quote for this Instagram story. But if you're blogging, review your analytics. Look at how many people are reading your page. Look how long they're staying on the page. Start to track and measure. It's the only way that you're going to get better. If you're seeing people aren't spending time on your pages, then you're going to want to adapt, try new things, try and get better. If you're running Facebook ads, make sure that they're hyper local. Don't advertise a community thing to your entire state. Learn how Facebook ads work. If you need help with that, we have above the noise videos on it. We have podcasts on it. We have blog posts on it. Make sure that you're going hyper local with that, and then reviewing your reach, engagement, any leads that you might be getting from that. And then the biggest thing, and this is one that we learned from Colt and Lindsay, was if you're throwing an event or something, make sure that you have all of your measurables in place before that event, and that you're planning your touch points prior to the event. You're planning what you're doing during the event to connect or network with people, and then after the event, what is your touch point strategy so that you're not only maximizing the investment of that event, but then you're able to actually track the business results from it.
And all that was around a community event, which basically labels him as a community expert, and he got partners to sponsor the event. I mean, it's an amazing podcast. Go back and listen to that podcast because it really was incredible how he took one event in his community to promote things, and it was all about, in his heart, it was all about that he wanted to give people a way in his community to be able to bring their kids to something that doesn't cost really any money and have an experience. And he knew that if he did that, people would then talk about him and obviously refer him and do business with him. And it's paid off, crazy. It's built his whole business off of it. It's insane.
So that's it. I've been told that I end the podcast too abruptly, so I'm gonna throw it out there and see if.
So that's it, ladies and gentlemen.
Do you have anything else to say, Luke?
Guys, all of this means nothing. Mark's looking at his watch right now. All of this means nothing if you don't do anything about it.
Yeah.
You have a choice right now. You can listen to this podcast and go, that idea of actually posting on Instagram a question of, hey, what's the thing you want to know the most about King of Prussia? That's a good idea. If you don't actually do that, it means nothing. You literally just wasted 30 minutes or how late are we? 33 minutes. 33 minutes of your life listening to this podcast if you don't implement something into your business from it. And the passion project or the passion behind this project of Stay Paid is all about how do we give you at least one golden nugget, something that you can literally get off the podcast, get off your headphones of listening to and go, you know what? That was a good idea. Next time I'm with my insurance agent, I'm going to whip out my phone, go live, and say, hey, I'm here with Josh, my insurance agent. Man, he's done an amazing job for me and my clients, and I just wanted him to share with you guys what he does and how he's involved in the community here. And if you ever need anything, please use Josh. He's amazing. Because then you get a tag Josh in it, all that good stuff we talked about. But again, if you don't do at least one thing. You're wasting 30 minutes of your life. And I want you to listen to our podcast. I love having viewers and downloads. I think it's awesome. But the purpose of this project is to give you guys actionable things that you can literally walk off of the podcast and go, I'm going to try that.
Well, the whole point of the local expert is really just like, again, it seems so obvious, but because it's what you do. You are already the local expert. It's taking the time to recognize it, look, how can I leverage this in my business and understand the importance of it, because ultimately it's going to be the difference between the top producers in your area and the mediocre producers is the ones that look at it, and not to do Luke's closing here, but the ones that look at it and actually take advantage of it.
People no longer, and this is Grant Cardone, this is not me, but I tend to agree with this. People no longer do business with people they trust. They do business with people they know.
Yeah.
Meaning, like, yes, you have to be trustworthy. And Grant Cardone, what he's trying to drive home the point is, if you're not known, Starbucks does not have the best coffee, he says.
Yeah, I just watched that video.
Yeah, McDonald's does not have the best burger. And I'm just like, yeah, he's freaking genius.
It's known and availability.
Yes, known and availability.
Right.
And what you're trying to do as a local expert is you're trying to get known. You're trying to get out there and be available. I'm sponsoring the youth baseball team because I'm available. I'm doing these things.
That's a great way to sum it up. Yeah, absolutely awesome. Thank you so much for listening. If you liked this podcast, please go on iTunes, give us a 5-star rating, make sure to leave a comment. Also, make sure to subscribe. So we'd love to make sure you're getting this every week. I just
scared away all our viewers. They're all like, I wasted 34 minutes of my life.
Look us up on iTunes. Click that purple subscribe button. If you're on an Android and using another podcast thing, I don't know how to do that, but we'll
figure it out.
We'll figure out something. We have a video coming out that shows you how to subscribe on all the different devices. You can also find our podcast in video form on youtube.com/ReminderMedia. Make sure to tell someone else about the podcast today, hopefully within your community. And if you'd like to get a hold of me or Luke, please email us at podcast@ReminderMedia.com or find us on Instagram or LinkedIn. Luke is at Luke Acree. I am at Josh Syke. And of course, you can check out Reminder Media on social media. We are at Reminder Media on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and Pinterest. For this episode of Stay Paid, I'm Joshua Syke.
And I'm Luke Acree. I'm going to close with this action item. I didn't mention this on the podcast necessarily, but I think this is a really, really good one. What are the top 5 most asked questions about your community in regards to your expertise? So if it's a real estate agent, what are the top 5 things in your community, local stuff that affects real estate? If you're a financial advisor, same type of idea. If you don't have the answers to those questions, get them. And then more importantly, distribute those answers. Through video, through on your webpage, on your website, through Facebook, like distribute those. I think that's a really tangible action item that, hey, what are the 5 main questions that people want to know about my community, specifically when it is involved with my profession? Yeah. So guys, difference between top producer and mediocre producers. Top producers take action. Take action on that today.